Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, even though it's raining. All right. Okay. Last I checked, nobody had turned in their review worksheet. So we want to make sure that gets done today. Um, let's see, I got one. Okay. I got, thank you, Piper. I got one. Everybody else owes me a worksheet today, but I did want to go over the one section as promised. It has I'll wait for everybody to come in. All right, last time we did this, I'll share. Good morning, good morning. Okay, we got quite a few people in. I'm going to give it another few minutes for folks to come in. I particularly wanted to go over the pedigree chart because several people did not do that correctly the last time we did it. And I want to make sure. So in the meantime, there's a lot of vocabulary with this activity. With this unit. So please make sure that once you finish your worksheet that you go back and look over the vocabulary. Um, I probably will, in a few minutes after I go over this pedigree chart, pull up a video on Mendel's laws. Mendel had several laws of heredity, so you want to make sure that you go over that. It is in the unit because that goes with question number 8, I believe. Mendel's principles, yes. All right, so you want to make sure you go back to the Canvas unit on Mendel's principles. Let's see if I can switch out of this without being in the grade book. Yes, I can. Okay. All right, let me show you where you need to focus some attention. All right, good morning, good morning. We're trying to make sure everybody has their worksheet in for today. All right, so you want to go to the unit on Mendel's laws of genetics. And again, question number 8 asks you about, well, he has 3 different laws. Come on. Okay, still letting folks in. So, okay. All right, so in this section, you want to make sure that you go to this section right here, Mendel's work. And mine will come up in a minute. All right, it says click on the presentation and you'll see all right, so you want to go through this
Genetics primer.
and I'm going to
Mendel and modern
take
genetics
her
terms.
volume down. So you want to go make sure that you go through this primer again for review, because he talks a lot about who Mendel is, what he does. And one of the other questions also asks you to answer in terms of Mendel's flower. So you were supposed to use P for your initials. Yeah, it's still letting folks in. I think this is the last one though. Okay, what was that? All right, I'm frozen. All right, but if everybody goes to Canvas for a minute, so stop what you're doing and go to Canvas and look at this one and go through this slideshow. This slideshow answers a couple of the questions on that worksheet, and when mine unfreezes, I might be able to show you that. But again, one of the questions asks you to answer using the flower as your example. So you were supposed to use P, capital P, lowercase p. You were supposed to talk about for genotype and phenotype, and that was supposed to be your example. Like I said, I can't get mine to advance, but you make sure you pull, oh, there it goes. All right. Da, 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 da. Okay, what am I trying to get to? All right, so this one, you make sure you understand the parental generation, the first filial generation, and the F2 generation. Understand his basic, okay, here, this is the one I wanted right here, his three principles. Okay, make sure you understand the principle of dominance and recessives, where one factor may mask the other, and that's the one we're most used to. So that is, it's called the principle of dominance and recessiveness. The principle of segregation, where two factors of the characteristics separate during the formation of egg and sperm. We demonstrate this when we do the Punnett square. Okay, we take the alleles that are together and we separate them, and we show that one will match the sperm and one will match the egg. And so what happens in our boxes is the illustration of the principle of segregation. All right, principle of independent assortments, as the factors for different characteristics are distributed to the reproductive cells independently. That means that, again, the Punnett square is probabilities. Those are the four possible probabilities. That may not happen all the time. We have families that have all boys, even though it's a 50-50 chance that you're going to have a boy or a girl. They may have all boys. They may have all girls. Okay. You may, large families, you may have 3 boys, 2 girls kind of thing. So independent assortment means that they separate out independently. They don't always travel together. Okay, so it's not a given that these traits are going to go together all the time. They're going to separate out during mitosis, when it's in the formation of the egg and sperm. Okay, so go through. There's a couple of other slides on here. Go through this one, read it. Let me get to the one. Know that each one of these is an allele, and you get one allele from mom, one allele from dad. But everybody has 2 alleles. Okay, this is the one right here. This answers one of the other questions on the worksheet, where you had to use the flower as an example, and you had to use the purple is dominant, so they used P. And then again, they don't use white for the recessive trait, so you're going to have a lowercase p for the recessive trait. When it's a possibility to have, and I have my sound turned down, but you can turn yours up. When there's a possibility of, you don't know whether it's homozygous dominant or heterozygous dominant, you write both. Okay, you write both. All right. All right, so back to the worksheet. Now that everybody's in. All right, so I did want to go over this one question with you for understanding number 27. All right, it says, which of the people in the pedigree are a carrier? All right, one of the rules for doing pedigree is that you shade half of the circle or square if they are a carrier. you darken the whole circle or square if they have the trait. So the first part, you should circle the circle at the top in the first generation, the circle that is half shaded. In the second generation, the circle is half shaded. And in the third generation, the male who is half shaded. All right, then it says, which of the people in this pedigree are affected by the condition? Cross out all. All right, the only one that you need to cross out is in the third generation, the male square that is fully darkened. Fully darkened represents the fact that they have the condition. It's not telling you what condition, but you know whatever condition it is, they have it because the square is totally darkened. It says, what type of inheritance is likely represented in this pedigree? And being as where all the girls were carriers and only the male had the disease, this is probably a sex-linked disease. Again, we know this because none of the girls have it. Girls are carriers, but the male seems to have inherited it. Okay, so this is a sex. So I've just answered all of 27. Okay, so if you haven't done it yet, check your 27. Wake up, Maxwell. And make sure your number 27 is correct. When I give you the answer, like last worksheet, I went through the first part and people still, I could tell who was paying attention, who wasn't, because people got them wrong. Okay. And some of y'all having a party over there. I don't know if you listen to the worksheet or not. All right, it says, what patterns are characteristics of pedigrees in a sex-linked trait? The pattern is it will, like we were just saying, that it tends to not be, because the disease is carried on the X chromosome, it tends to get masked sometimes in females, so they become carriers, and it shows up in males because there is nothing to mask the characteristics. 29, the patterns of the characteristics in the pedigree for an autosomal trait. Autosomal are all the others. So we're not talking about X's and Y's, we're talking about all the other 22 pairs of chromosomes. The pattern of characteristics there, it can be male or it doesn't matter. It can be either the male or the female. It just depends on whether you get two alleles, one from mom, one from dad, that both have the trait, dominant or recessive trait on it. Okay. And for number 30, you just need to define what is hemophilia. And again, talk about how pedigree is involved in passing it on from one family to the other. All right, 31, it says match. There are no words, there's no word bank there, but you need to go back to your vocabulary list and find the words that go with these descriptions. The same thing for, there's another question like that. Number 8. That said match the principles. So again, go check back with that presentation I just showed you, and you have to write in which principles match these statements. There's no word bank for that either. Okay, so again, number 8 was what I just showed you on Canvas, and number 31, you're going to have to go back to your vocabulary list at the beginning of the unit. Okay, any questions about any of this? Now's the time to ask. All right, Thursday, you're going to have 2 separate progress learning assignments. So the test is going to be in 2 parts. So there's 2 different sets. So we're going to do this in progress learning. Again, there's no Wednesday schedule, so I don't see you again till Thursday. And that's how the test will be presented. It's not going to be in Canvas. It's going to be in progress learning. Okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to stop talking. Again, this is due today. So please, everybody get that turned in. If you are already finished, use this time to review vocabulary, read over the other sections, look over the handouts that you've already done. Practice looking at the different, especially the last one, looking at the different types of karyotypes and their diseases. A lot of folks had a little trouble with that as well, as far as identifying. Let me pull that one up too. Since this is review. Okay. And there's a couple of you who still have some outstanding worksheets to turn in. So please use this time to get those in. All right. Again, this was one that I went through the first set. And so if you got those wrong, shame on you because I gave you the answers to those. All right. Again, when you're looking at karyotype, you have to remember that human, and these are all human karyotypes. If this was a elephant or a donkey, it would look different because they don't have 23 pairs of chromosomes. They have a different number of chromosomes, but you would still line them up the same way. You would stay line up like, so number one, both of those are the same size. So if we had to, and there's an exercise that I was going to give you, but you have to cut up paper and you'd have to take pictures of your stuff. And I didn't want to go through all of that with you all. But if I was in the classroom, we'd be making a mess of the classroom, cutting up alleles and matching them together. So in number one of those alleles came from mom, one came from dad, but they are the same. Okay, and we know they're the same because they're the same length. There's certain bands on there that are going to match up, so we know that they are holding the same traits on that particular chromosome. So if you had a really nice picture, this worksheet's kind of foggy, you would see the bands on the chromosomes and then why they matched up, not just the size of the chromosome, but the fact that certain um, um, traits line up with each other. All right, the other thing that you need to recognize, and some of you didn't, is knowing that you have the 22, the autosomal ones, and they're together, and then you have the X and Y, and they're kind of separate. So if you have X, you're going to either have two of those and then no Y, and that's a female, or you're going to have an X and a Y, and that's a male, as in the number 8 picture there. That's a male because there's a chromosome on the X and there's a chromosome on the Y, as opposed to the other one, which had 3 chromosomes on the X and no Y. Even though it had 3, it's still a female. Okay. All right. And then the little chart here, you needed to match up what the defect was. Like for number 18, if you looked at number 18, it's supposed to have 2 chromosomes. It has 3. So I come down to my chart and I look at where there are 3 trisomy means 3. And on 3 on number 18, and that was Edwards syndrome. So again, some of you misread this chart. On this one, some of you totally did not answer. It said first thing it told you to do was to identify the disorder. A couple of you just told me whether it was male or female. You were supposed to go through and identify where the defect was and go back up to the chart and name that defect. So you're going to have things like this also to look at on the test. So make sure that if you have questions about this, write in the chat. I can pull you in a separate room if you need to. You don't want to talk out loud in class, I can do a pull-out room. But please ask questions. Test is Thursday. Test is Thursday. All right. So all of the other worksheets should be turned in today. And study the vocabulary. If you're done, go back through each of the module lessons and reread those. There's a lot of laws, there's a lot of principles, a lot of vocabulary. So please use this time to do that. Again, I only have one person to turn theirs in, so that means everybody else is busy. And yet I still see people and I'm looking at Go Guardian. You're looking at me instead of looking at your worksheet. And folks, Canvas has due dates on all your assignments, and when they're not in on time, the due date is automatically puts a late penalty on your assignment, and I'm leaving them on there because you have enough class time to get these things done. So if you're turning them in late, it's going to get a late penalty. All right. Again, if you have any questions, I don't know why this keeps coming up that. All right, everybody should be in Canvas, so this shouldn't be blocking anything. Like keeps coming to blocking. All right, so again, I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. All right, it's nice that everybody is present. And again, keep in mind, please be present on Thursday so that you can take the test and nobody misses the test. Being present and on time would be also be a good thing. Now, the progress learning activity is in progress learning, it's 100%, but we can't do that in our grade book. So I will convert it. Once the grade has been shifted over, I'm going to adjust it. I had to do that on the last one as well. So if you saw that adjustment, that's what it was for. It was really out, it's supposed to be out of 12, and it kept giving me grades out of 100. So I had to shift those back to being a grade out of 12. The Friday test, the 2 assignments are out of 20, but they will still pop over as being 2 grades out of 100. So after all the scores are in, I will readjust that to be a grade out of 20. Otherwise, that would take your grade over the top. All right, and if I send you your worksheet back and for you to resubmit, please resubmit it. Because like I said, some of you had that whole section on the karyotyping done wrong. So I set it up for you to resubmit. So do yourself a favor, get the best grade possible by resubmitting. Resubmits are not late. Okay, if you turned it in on time the first time, when you resubmit, it's not late. If you're turning it in for the first time, it's late. All right, Piper, I'm going to send yours back so you can answer number 8. Now that I've shown you where to get the answer from. And again, folks, I showed everybody where the answer for number 8 is, so I shouldn't get blanks on that one. Again, it says matching. There's no matching list, but that's what they want you to match it from. Okay, Kashawn, I'm going to send yours back too because you got 1, 2, 3 on there. And then you have no answers for 31. So you got time to redo this. All right, so Kashana returned yours. Piper, I returned yours. And Ariana, I hope you're working on yours. Because if I don't have it, you should be working on it. Everybody doing all right? Again, if you have any questions, please ask. And again, on the worksheet, for question number 8 is found, the answers are found in Canvas on the 3 principles. You have to fill in words for that. There's no word bank. And same thing for question 31. There is no word bank. You have to go back to the vocabulary list to complete that. I'm going to look at your question right now. Actually, yes. Like, Okay, there's about 5 more minutes left to class. Anybody have any questions? Anybody not going to be able to submit this today? You have any questions, you should ask now. Okay. Okay, if you have no questions for me, you are free to go. Stay dry. I know it's pouring rain here.